live video. Hello.
Right, who is this?
This is Andy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's me?
Yeah.
I thought it was a doppelganger.
Yeah, it's an evil doppelganger that keeps feeding me jammy wagon wheels.
And who are you?
I'm Amanda.
And what are we doing today, Amanda?
We're doing a live poetry reading.
And what's we reading?
Lots of poems. Don't expect me to list them all.
And where are they all from?
Some of them are from my chapbook. Some of them are from your chapbook. Yeah. Some of them are from chapbooks that don't even exist yet.
Forthcoming, yes, exclusives. And some are from my reissued first poetry book from a long time ago. Right, okay, well I'm going to be starting, and the first one I'm going to do is from my reissued first book, Return to Camptown. Now this book itself originally came out all the way back in 2010. 10 years ago actually, so literally almost to the month. So what I decided at the time was I wanted to do a reissue of it. We've been 10 years old, it's been out of print for a few years, and I want to reissue it, and Amanda's kindly done me a new cover, Amanda, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I've put lots of extra new poems with it. So this is one of them from that book. This is simply called Ghosts of Manchester, Victoria. As the train pulls into a sudden stop at Victoria, I breathe on the window just before the weather nosedives into a heavy storm, like a terrible disaster which hasn't quite yet happened. People rush in and out of the two carriages in a whirlwind of activity, and I could see two ghosts stood there on the stairs, as if they were extras from a brief encounter. And the pair of them, in the crippling rain, walked down the stairs past the fed-up security guards and the sweet seller struggling to keep hold of his sweets. Past a newspaper seller on the edge of the platform, in his soaked orange coat, waving his papers like umbrellas, and a mother frantically trying to brush the water from her children's hair. Past businessmen in suits with their shoes caked in mud, and students arguing over their fares with conductors like a cautious one. Past a homeless man sitting on the floor by the exit with his hood hiding his shame, and a kitchen porter more interested in smoking than washing pots. It was debatable who was the more alive. Over to Amanda.
My first poem today is called Out of Line, and I'm reading this because it's just been published by the Sunlight Press. And the good thing about them is they're paid writers, so if there's any writers that want to get their poem published and also get paid, then check them out. They say you're out of line if you step out of line. Even if you don't know what you're waiting for, they put the weight of the world on you, whether underweight or a little over, undernourished, whether in body or soul, pushing you over the edge to be who they say you ought to be. Get the right clothes and body shape, listen to the right music, don't step out of line. We are all waiting here for something better, but we're in the wrong place, trying to make sense from lunacy, told we don't fit the mould, or the clothes we force ourselves into, like the lives we impose upon ourselves, until one day the tightness is too much, the desire to exhale overwhelms, not slowly but all at once, it's all just too much, and everything spills out, like that overindulgent weekend, only much worse. They say it's our fault when our thoughts come spilling out, our true selves pouring like lava, resentment from years of being pushed down, relabelled as out of line, but this only started back when we were forced into line. If only we could be ourselves, individual, not causing harm to anyone, instead of being sculpted against our will, missing opportunities, told we're too young, too young, too young, then too late, we're too old, neglecting chances by waiting for the right time, for everything to just fall into place. The truth is, unicorns aren't real. There is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The time is now. No matter the place, your age or body shape, this is the day to chase your dreams, if you would only step out of line.
Brilliant, Amanda. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm next going to be doing something really new actually now, and I've been working on, well, revising over the lockdown period an incomplete manuscript for quite some time ago, and called Selected Extracts from the End of the World, as you can see here. Now, the idea from this book came from, or chapbook came from about 4 years ago actually, when I wanted to try and look at things in the end of the world, when people would just look at them, what would they do in the last moments on Earth before the Earth blew up? So that's where this really come from. It's unusual, this topic, but they're all like flash fiction told in poems. So I'm going to do 2 of them. And the first one's called The Killing Joke. After pulling down the tent, the clown knew he had the last laugh after shooting his boss dead once the sun started burning up, who he'd hated for years. And the other one I'm going to do now is simply called Regret. Shadowed in regret, the man looks at the waitress in the cafe, pen in her ear, wishing he'd asked her out years before.
Okay, so my next one is from the book. So this is called Always Darkest Before Dawn, and it's out on the 25th, and you can pre-order it on Kindle for 80p. It's going to be more on book, obviously, because it costs more to print out. And this is also called Darkest Before Dawn, and it was written around the time I started doing mindfulness with the lockdown, and I just felt I needed to do something, and this is when I was more positive, which is very rare. Like skipping through endless nights, trying to keep the spring in my step, letting the cocoon change me. When this is over, will I be a butterfly or a moth with all my colours stripped bare, still searching for that elusive light? None of us will be who we were, some changed for the better, others shown in their true light, judged by our actions, what we did on that endless night, holding out a torch or stealing all the candles. Every winter has a Christmas to make the cold more bearable. All storms lead to calm when the worst is over. All nights lead to daybreak. A new day will arrive. Decide who you want to be and hold on to your dreams. If you can't find your way through, remember, it's always darkest before dawn. Close your eyes and breathe. Open your mind and just be.
Yeah, so you're in on this really, really philosophical, that piece, isn't it? So
yeah, I think I surprised everyone in Stockport because it was positive.
Yeah, that's the night we go to in Stockport now. And you're that night, you read out about 3 positive poems in the trot, which surprised everybody, actually, including me. So.
I'll be back to normal soon.
Right, okay. Next one I'm going to do is another poem from my first book, Return to Cape Town, which has been reissued. And this one is called Forgotten Hero, and it's about retired heroes. I haven't thought about flying for a long time. I haven't dreamed of that moment when I was alone above the clouds for a long time. Haven't dreamed of waking up in a room surrounded in blue and green glass for more years than I could dream and remembering. I haven't walked back into the past or scratched on the doors of my origins, where it all came from, since I hung up that cape for the last time. Not opened up a secret door at the back of my cupboard, nor have I reached that magic button which would explode me into life in the middle of my cave. Instead, I sit here silent in the shadows of my house, with just a drop of melancholy and half-baked memories as friends. Instead, I sit here in the shadows like the ghost of Christmas past and beg you to listen to my story of the hero of the world. I was a hero who lived in a nearby city that you'll know with a knowing smile if I whispered its name to you under my breath, but then was a haven of dark mazes and knife-throwing criminals. Nowadays, I sit here with nervous nightmares as my days are a combination of a million sunsets I've seen cowboys disappear under, each one laced with a different layer of regret. I watch the shores brush against the coast like harsh tragedies and feel the windows shake softly as you're trying to offer an escape route or a return to former glories. I watch the world arch on in new different directions, with new governments and leaders crumbling into dust, all calling out for help, and then rising from the ashes like a freshly born phoenix. But sometimes I wonder what the view would be like from the top of my block. sometimes.
And this one's also from my book, and it's called A Letter to the Future, Part 1. Haunted by the future, seen at the end of this long tunnel. I was running along the tracks to get to you. I never saw the train until it hit. Haunted by these lockdown dreams, remnants of the life before, what was, what will never be, and the future I almost reached. Haunted by my own life, like a cruel prank gone wrong, falling dominoes with no end in sight, reaching, falling, landing, repeating. Haunted by the repetition of life's broken record, makes me want to change the song. Any song will do. See, back to normal.
Yeah, because it's a lot quicker. It's a lot shorter. I remember that poem being under as well, actually. So, right, okay. Should we give them something really brand new now?
Yeah.
This one was wrote a couple of days ago, and it's going to be in a chapbook that's currently untitled, Amanda, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, no one's wondering, is it something we're working on together, which can be like lockdown poems, but you'll see. This one's quite Philip Larkin-ish, and it's called The Trees in Lockdown. Blowing itself along with the breeze, hung outside your window. You can see its apples blush like diamonds in the early morning sunset in lockdown. Stashing its secrets in shadows under rust-like leaves, laced with rattling gates left unattended across deserted streets. Dangling there as an archway into wonderment, mummified in its swaying, feeling like our lives just out of reach.
And this is the final one that I'm going to read from the book.
Not your final poem, of course.
No, not the final poem. This is called All My Household Appliances Are Out to Get Me. They said you can catch corona from 5G, so I've turned off my phone, missing calls from my nan as I burn down phone towers, saving the world with fire. I realised my toaster gave me chlamydia, and it wasn't the one night stand with the woman who looked better after I drunk 10 pints, so I began eating untoasted bread. It took me a while to figure out my kettle was for my headaches rather than the coffee I drank. I boil the water on the hob now, and the pain is all in my head. I used to think my microwave was great, a meal cooked in 3 minutes, until I realised it was sending messages to an alien spacecraft, saying I was fair game to be abducted and probed. It's still unclear where my severe case of being a moron comes from. It could be a combination of my laptop and my own gullibility, or the television and my inability to question everything I hear.
Right, okay, I'm going to do something a bit more sombre now. And these are my last 2 little pieces today from my new chapbook as well. Selected extracts from the end of the world. First one's simply called Faces. Faces evenly spread out. I sit on the train, counting eyelashes, when the moon went down for the last time. And the other one is simply called Faces 2. Studying her quiet face asleep, I can only guess how far she has travelled when the moon went down for that last time.
And this is another short one that was supposed to go in the book, but I forgot to put it in, so it's going in the one that me and Andy are going to write together. Yeah. Shopping is my new favourite extreme sport. I don't want to go outside. It's like an episode of The Walking Dead. Every time we go on a food run, madness in the shopping aisles, fighting over packets of toilet rolls, seeing who can get in the first hit, who needs it more, who's full of. Walking home with shopping bags, holding them up like crosses. Get back, running into the path of a truck because you're an ignorant who can't stick to the 2-metre rule, and I wish I'd just stayed at home and eaten mouldy crackers instead, because the whole world is crackers now.
Well, my last solo poem, obviously not my last piece, I should just need stating, is from Return to Cape Town. This is the piece that I'm quite known for, actually. It's my life, but it's very different, this one. This one's for my uncle, who was tragically killed in the Second World War, and is simply called Percy. I never met you, but I can imagine you stood there even now in your uniform with your slightly bent cap. I never looked up at you growing up and said with a wide-eyed innocence, big as a tree, all 6'4" of you. Never served beside you from the mud in Burma, which must have been hell to crawl through before being possibly transferred against your choice to India. But I liked it you imagined you were an explorer stepping into the unknown. Never marched alongside you every night and at night as part of the Fusiliers, or drank a warm beer with you on the rare occasion you were able to rest. I wasn't there when you went back for that final time and never heard you say, "I'll write soon," and the letter only arrived after you had gone. I was told you died like a man, leading your men into the gates of the machine guns, which cut you down like the charge of the Light Brigade, and passed on so others lived to fight another day. I never knew you, but I can imagine you stood there even now in your uniform, even though we never met. But I can taste your thoughts right up into the end, into the embrace of shadows. Percy Henry Nicholson, 1918 to 1943. Percy Henry Nicholson, my uncle, 1918 to 1943.
Now.
You've got your settlers now. Now to know me.
Right, this is called "We Are Not Guinea Pigs." We are not here to be thrown to the wolves, so you can see what happens when social distancing is broken. We serve and keep the country going, but are seen as easily replaceable, left to fall like dominoes. We are not guinea pigs. We are somebody's grandparents. It doesn't matter if we were already ill. The last months or years we can have are precious. Life is precious. Don't take that away from us. We are someone's sons or daughters with years left to live, but cut short if you force us into school or leave us to pass on the virus to those we love. Growing up in a shade of guilt. A young woman with a family, a middle-aged father with diabetes, children and babies whose stories ended abruptly, NHS staff selflessly treating others, many alone. Families were kept away. We are not numbers or part of a new superhuman race, not willing to be struck down to test your point of view. When we don't even believe what you're saying, we are loved and choose to live. We are parents, friends, partners, and so much more than a daily tally. We laugh, we cry, we fear but act brave, putting on a smile to show the world. That doesn't mean we agree with you. We just try to adapt to this threat. We are not portrayed in the media because we are the proof against your lies, so you try to pretend we don't exist. We are led by people who don't care whether we live or die, ready to push us under to save themselves. You've made people believe we need to be exposed to gain immunity, but how can we become immune?
Yeah, as you have to say, everybody.
Nice cheerful one.
Optimistic, uplifting, Amanda, as normal. Okay, should we do something a bit more different now?
Yeah.
Okay, now this is going to be in our forthcoming Untitled joint chapbook, and we have co-wrote this poem together, Amanda, as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Alone Together. One by one, faces appear on the screen. Some we've never seen before, others we knew in what feels like another life, as we prepare to begin another night where we gather virtually, so we can all be alone together.
One by one, looking at each other silently, like in a concentration camp, barely able to look up at the camera, with a terrified look of uncertainty, our hair left to grow wild out of the shadows.
Staring into eyes, discerning emotions, smiles that don't reach further than our mouths, searching for signs, anything at all, that someone somewhere feels the same, not wanting to be left behind, feeling like everyone else has moved on.
Catching tides and dreams throughout our words, booking opinion what we're hearing, serenading each other in our time and need, lifting the lid whether you lead or just watch, reaching out to hope with everything you say, alone, together. Okay,
And what we're finishing off with?
And I want to show people.
Someone requested this.
Yeah, we've had a request of this, and unfortunately, the lady in question can't get access to this now as she can, so she'll have to catch her on the rerun. This beautiful thing here, which we wrote last year on Monday, didn't we?
Yeah.
And what is it called?
Run Away With Me in 7 Words.
And do you want to tell people how this book came about?
I wrote a poem and I tried to be clever and it turned into a book.
Yep, and it's a sequence of 7-word little poems where we took turns in writing and started there. Okay.
You ready?
Of course.
You know I would if I could.
And if I could, I would too.
But the stars fell, making me forget.
And our moon into blue, shadowy flames.
My heart warmed, then exploded, sapping everything.
Counting everything backwards until our emotions merged.
Flowering into a kaleidoscope of spinning rainbows.
Taking the back road in handheld regrets.
Before your hand let go of mine.
Brazen and thunderstorms under the apple tree.
After it bore fruit before poison spread.
And seeped upwards slowly into the roots.
Spreading across the earth where everything connected.
In love, or a feeling close to.
Paper hearts always seem to fade away.
Surrendering to coincidence between spring and summer.
Soar in the skies like a helium balloon.
Our eyes wide open, sealed in love.
Washing up on beaches like love letters.
Taking turns in silence, stood on bridges.
Dragging the other back from the brink.
And everything that held us back before.
Until we find ourselves amongst the clouds.
Instead of always been lost at sea.
Turning anchors into speedboats, soaring the oceans.
Ending into beginnings over breaths of moonlight.
Hands joined while running into that moonlight.
You know I would if I could.
And if I could, I would too.
Well, that's it, guys and girls. It's been great fun today. Now, anybody's really interested in getting hold of any of these books, they're already out, all available on Amazon in one way or another, Amanda, aren't they? So check them out and come back to us if you want more information. And who knows, we may be back again.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
Bye.